Okay, so in our previous class, what we did was we looked at some of the commonly used terms across the IT industry that we are hoping to be part of. So we looked at terms like SOW, statement of work, CR, change request or change requirement, scope, then some of the key people involved like SMEs, consultants, technical architects, dev lead, test lead, okay, and things like estimations, environment or region. So today what we will do is we will continue our introduction session, which will help us build base for our subsequent classes. Okay, so today we will talk about things that are done before a business analyst gets into picture. Okay, so that we understand this IT industry a little bit better. Okay, and once we understand that, then it becomes much more easier for us to identify or associate our work. So today what we will do is we will start with one more topic, that is on what are the different types of organizations. Okay, so for this software building, what are the different types of organizations that are available with us? Okay, or what are the different types of organizations where we can go out and work? So even for next few more days, these sessions will continue with basics only before we actually start getting into SDLC, things like SDLC, BA roles and responsibilities, the actual work. Okay, so the first few days are more about building the basics of it. Now majorly we have two types of organizations. One is called a product based organization, and we will look at both of them in detail today. And the second one is called as the service based organizations. Okay, so what is this product based organization, and then what is this service based organization? So we'll try to look at both of them in detail. Now the first one, product based organization. So what happens in a product based organization is they build a software. Okay, now remember guys, software, product or application is a term that can be used interchangeably right throughout our training program. Okay, okay, so what happens in a product based organization is they build a software or a product or an application. Now how that happens is, so I'll just quickly list out the steps. They identify a problem, okay, and then using technology they try to solve the problem. Okay, so that solution is the software, or that solution is the product or the application. For example, let's say viruses. Okay, so you all know that in internet there are a lot of reliable or credible source of information that we can get from certain websites. At the same time, there are certain websites that are malicious, that can try to steal information, basically that have some type of viruses in it. Okay, so what happens, we have then companies that provide antiviruses as well. Okay, antivirus, I'm not talking about drugs. Okay, I'm talking about the antivirus that we install in our laptop or desktop. Okay, so there are a lot of viruses or buggy software or malicious software available online. In order to safeguard ourselves, we use we use an antivirus software. Okay, so some companies realized it. Okay, some organizations, they realized that lot of people spend lot of time online. Okay, chances are that they may visit a website and they may try to download something from that website which could be malicious. So if they use this antivirus software, I can prevent them from downloading, or I can prevent them from installing that malicious software. Okay, so that is an antivirus. So some organization identified this potential and now they work on building antivirus softwares. Okay, once they build it, then what they do is they build a product based organization. What they do is they build a software or an application, then they try to market their product. Okay, so obviously when you have built a product, what will you do? You will advertise about it. You want maximum users to know about the product so that they can use it. For example, this entire laptop that I'm using now, this runs on Microsoft Windows. What is that Microsoft Windows? That's one of the product available on the operating system categories. Okay, so they have marketed themselves well, that even though Microsoft, I'm not using a Microsoft laptop, I'm using laptop that has been manufactured by a different company. Like there are various companies like HP, Dell, IBM that are manufacturing laptops, but after manufacturing or after creating or assembling the hardware, they are using Microsoft Windows. Okay, that's how Microsoft has marketed their product, that majority of the laptops are run, majority of the user laptops are on the Microsoft Windows. I'm talking about the entire, if you take into consideration all the countries that are available. So you market your product so that people know about it, people become much more familiar about your product, and then what you do is you sell license and not your product as such. Okay, product based companies, they don't sell their product, they sell license to use the product. Okay, so they can give you 1 year license, 2 year license, 3 year, 5 year license. So basis that license, you are entitled to use that software only for that specific duration. Once the duration is over, then you can no longer use the software. You will have to purchase fresh license again. So that's how these product based organizations make money also. Okay, they don't give you a software for free for lifetime. Okay, they give you software to use. They, if you see most of the softwares offered, they are offered for 30 days, 20 days, 10 days trial period. Okay, so that after that trial, if you really like the product, you will buy the license to use the product. If you buy the license, that license will be valid for, let's say, 1 year, 2 year, or 5 years, which means after that duration you will again have to pay to renew the license. Okay, so that's how the product based organization works. They build a software or a product, they advertise or market their product, and then once user are aware of it and they want to use the particular product, these organizations sell the license to use the product. Okay, in order to build a product, what happens is the organization, they identify a problem, like what is a problem for which there is no better solution available. It is not necessary that you try to venture into a space where no one has identified a solution. If you can identify such a scenario where there is no solution existing, that's wonderful. Probably you will be the first one to build a solution and you will naturally have lot of traction also. But sometimes it could also be possible that you identify an existing area where the existing problem, where the current solutions are not up to the mark also. So you can build or provide a new solution that is absolutely relevant also. So one such example of product based organization is your antivirus software. Then we talked about Microsoft Windows, okay, etc. Now, when you talk about the product based organization, there is one more thing. There are actually two more things. So the onus or the ownership of the software or the product is with the organization. Okay, remember, they are simply selling the license to use the product. They are not selling the product itself. Okay, they just give you the license to use it. So the ownership of the software is with the product based organization itself. Okay, ownership means any changes, any new development, addition of new feature, removal of existing feature, completely changing the interfaces, okay, all those things, and even selling it to other people, okay, even all those things lie with the product based organization itself. So ownership means your ability to make changes or modifications, even selling it to other people for personal use or professional use, that all those things lie with the product based organization only. Okay, now they can use different tactics to identify what new changes are needed in their product. Okay, so they can conduct survey, they can ask the people who are using the software like how comfortable or how easy to use the software is, how comfortable or how easy to use the software is. They can use surveys like that. They can get feedback from the customers. Basis the feedback, they can try and improve the software. Okay, so survey to interact with the customers who are using the software. Okay, let's say modifications or changes, how these are done. Now, there could also be regulatory issues or regulatory compliances. Okay. So suppose I am building a, a payment application, okay, and maybe the federal bank or the central bank or the reserve bank of that country, it has some guidelines or compliances to follow around payment application. Okay, so maybe if they come up with new compliances, new regulatory changes, maybe I don't want to make those changes, but because I have to comply with those changes, so eventually I'll have to do modification. So modifications can be done because either I did a survey with my customers and they have given me some suggestions. I can make modifications because I need to comply with those regulatory policies, otherwise my licenses will be revoked. So maybe I'm forced to make some changes over here, or just to just to implement new vision. Okay, maybe my senior management in the product based organization, they can create some vision on how our product should look like, how to make our product much more interactive, how to increase the sales of our product. So for that, they can come up with new ways, new features that should be present in our software. Suppose if I am selling, suppose if I am creating an e-commerce application, okay, and in that e-commerce application, I do not have online payment option. I do not have online payment option. So they can create a vision that in order to make our e-commerce application much more popular, much more easy to use, let's add the online payment option, so that users, once they have bought the product, once they add product to the cart, they can simply make online payment, so that it will be easier for them to use the software. Okay, so that could be the vision related changes as well from the senior management. Now in product based organization, they mainly work on two type of things. So we have already told it here, that they build a software product or application, and then they sell license to use the product. Okay, so two type of work being done is building the product and then customizing the product. Okay, so what does that mean is, suppose I'm building the product. Okay, I'm creating the basic structure of the product, what all different features are available in the product. Okay, and customizing the product as per uh, my end users need. Take for example this notepad. Suppose I built this notepad where it has a menu bar at the top. It says file, edit and view menu are available. It has a status bar at the bottom where it displays to me line number, column number, how many characters are there there in the application. Okay, what's the aspect ratio or zoom thing. Now suppose if customer says that I don't want this status bar at the bottom. Okay, remove this status bar from the application. Okay, so what product based companies they try to do is, they try to build all these features as separate things. Okay, so they try to build all these features as separate things, so that as per customer requirement we can give them the entire access to the entire software, or we can remove certain components of the software and then give them access to remaining software. Okay, so there are two types of teams that work within product based organization. One team is responsible for building the product, other team is responsible for customizing the product. Customizing the product includes activities like interact with client, or once you interact with client, then you tell them about what can be customized and what cannot be customized. Okay, sometimes there are certain features that go hand in hand. Suppose if client says I don't want save feature at all. Okay, remove this save option from my software. I'm not going to pay for save. Okay, I don't require that. But maybe you can tell client about the importance of it, or you can say that this is the basic option that will be available in my software. Whether others are, you can customize edit, we will not give you edit option, we will not give you view option, but whatever is listed under file, you have, that will be part of the basic software, so you have to get that. Okay, so that is the second part where they work on customizing the product as well. Okay, so the team that is responsible for building the product, they try to build these products in such a way that it can be customized later as per customer requirement. Now I can tell my customers, if you want basic software with only file option, maybe you will have to pay $10. If you want edit option, pay additional $2. If you want view option also, pay two more dollars. So if you want the entire software, pay $14. If you want only file option, pay $10. If you want file plus edit or file plus view, then pay $12. Okay, so like that they can price their software accordingly. So why they do this customization? So that way as per the customer's requirement or as per the user's requirement, they can pay for what they use. Earlier, when the softwares were being built, you have to buy the entire software or you don't buy anything. But nowadays, people are realizing, or obviously people have become much more smarter, so they realize when someone does buy nothing from you, or when someone is not buying from you, okay, so you are losing on revenue. So why to lose on revenue? Instead, tell people you can buy something from me. So that something is again customizing. Okay, so as a business analyst, when you join a product based organization, you could be either part of the team that is building the product. For building the product, you could be taking input from survey or company management or the regulatory organizations, or you could be part of the team that is working on customizing the product. Okay, so in customization part, you interact with client, you try to understand their requirements, their needs, what the customer is expecting from the product. Basis their expectations, you go back to your software and then see what can be customized, what cannot be customized. So you go back to the customer and then tell them that basis your requirement, what part of the software can be customized versus what cannot be customized. So basis that, customer can accordingly give you further directions on how to proceed forward. Okay, so we have both the teams available. Ownership lies with the product based organization only. Okay, now both these type of IT organizations, product based or service based, a business analyst could be available or required in both type of organizations, but we are just trying to cover them just so that we understand uh, what are the different options available, how the work that is being done may differ slightly. Okay, but remember, whether it is product based or service based, you may be doing, your responsibilities may not differ a lot. As a business analyst, the steps that we follow as business analyst or the procedures that we follow as a business analyst may likely to remain same. There will not be a substantial difference as such. It may be few things here and there because of the work culture, because of the type of work, but there will not be massive differences. Okay, so any questions so far, guys? Okay, if no questions, we'll move forward. We'll move on to the second type of organization, that is service based organization. Now, typically, when you are working, if you are working from India, a lot of organization till few years back, they were predominantly service based organizations. Okay, now in last few years, let's say in last 4 to 5 years, we have been seeing a lot of product based organizations as well. Okay, that are building a product for masses to use. Now, what is this service based organization? Okay, so service based organization and product based organization, they pretty much do the same work with few differences here and there. And what is the difference? So service based organization, instead of trying to identify a problem, they try to identify the client. Okay, so first thing, I will try to identify a client who is in need of finding a or building a software, client who requires to build a software. Okay, as a service based organization, I don't have any requirement to build a software, but I'm trying to find a client who can give me the work of building the software. Okay, who can give the work of building the software. Okay, now in the product based organization, where we said that the ownership of the software is with the organization, in the service based organizations, the ownership of the software is with the client. Okay, client is the person, remember, who is giving us the work. So I may be a business company and I want to build an e-commerce application. Okay. So for building that e-commerce application, I don't want to hire an IT staff. I don't want to hire people with different skill sets and then ask them to build the e-commerce application for me. So what I will do is, as a client, I have a business idea, and that idea could be build an e-commerce application. Okay, so I have an idea, but then I don't want to hire people with I don't want to hire business analyst, developer, tester. I don't want to get into all those hassles. Okay, I just want to focus on my business. I just want to focus on the e-commerce part. How can I add more sellers on my platform? How do I ensure that my revenues are increasing? How do I ensure that my staff is appropriately utilized? I want to focus on my core business. I don't want to focus on the IT related work. So I have an idea. Then what I will do is I'll look for organizations that can build the software for me. Okay. Now these organizations are completely responsible for hiring people, engaging them, building the software, and all that stuff for me. Okay, I will not worry about all those things. So these organizations are your service based organizations. Okay, so as a service based organizations, similarly, client has a business idea and they are looking for organizations that can build the software. Similarly, service-based organizations are looking for clients for which we can build a software. Okay. So definitely the ownership of the software is with the client and not with the service-based organization. Why? Because because the client is paying us the money. So client owns the software. Okay, so suppose if client does not like my services, suppose I run a company for providing services to a client. Suppose if they don't like my services, if they're not happy with the work that I'm doing, then because they own the software, because the ownership of software is with them, they can simply ask me, Rahul, you don't do any work for us, you simply transition our work to, let's say, Suprita or Piyush, because they are the ones for with whom we have signed a new contract, and we really have faith on them that they will be able to do better work. Okay, so in product based organization, we saw that the ownership lies with the organization. They are responsible for making changes, they are responsible for deciding what features should be added, what should not be added, and they are the one responsible for selling the license also. Okay, but in service based organization, I cannot sell my client software to anyone else unless my client want it themselves. Okay, so the ownership is completely with the client. Client will come to me and tell me what changes they want in their software. Client will only come and tell me that, hey, someone else want to use my software, so let's give them access to my software. I have already taken money from them for using my software. Okay, so the ownership lies with the client and not with the service based organization in this particular case. Now, naturally, what happens is, if we feel there can be some improvement made in the software, we can go and give suggestions to the client on how they can improve the software. Okay, but we cannot make decision for the client. Ultimately client has to approve that yes, let's go ahead with whatever you are suggesting. Okay, so that is the difference of ownership. Okay, so as a service based organization I can give my client suggestions, but I cannot make decisions for them because the ownership lies with the client itself. So they ultimately will have to decide. Okay, now comes the third part, that is the modifications, how the software can be modified in the service based organizations. Okay, so it is majorly client driven. Okay, now it is up to the client on how they are identifying these requirements. Maybe for client, maybe the senior management of the client is asking for these changes. Maybe there is compliance related issues which are driving these changes. Maybe our client is doing survey with the end customers, and that's how they are getting to know what changes are needed. But for me as a service based organization, for me the major source of my requirement is from the client. Okay, so client is coming to me and telling what type of changes they want and when they want. Okay, so they only come and tell me what changes are needed, when those changes are needed. Okay, and probably why those changes are needed as well. Okay, so they give me everything. uh, I don't run behind multiple people to see what type of changes could be needed. Again, now next type of modification could be suggestions. Okay, so we said we can give certain suggestions to the client, that how they can further improve their software. Suppose they built their software in the 1960s or 70s using some of the older technologies. Okay, now we can obviously go out to them and tell them that your software runs on older technologies, there are better ways of doing work. So why don't we shift from older technology to newer technology, so that we can make our software much more efficient. Okay, remember, it's just a suggestion. We are not going out and we are not making a decision for the client. If client really likes our suggestion, if client really finds value add in our suggestion, if client really thinks that whatever suggestion this service based organization is giving me, there is really lot of value in it, so let's go ahead and invest in their suggestion, then that suggestion could turn into a new work as well. Okay, so they can say that since you guys gave us the suggestion and we really liked your suggestion, there is lot of value add in your suggestion, so let's go ahead and do the work as well. Okay, so modifications to the software, it is majorly client driven. It could also come out of suggestions that we as service based organization give to the client. Why we are giving suggestion? Because the ownership of the software is with the client, so that's why we cannot make decisions. On top of our suggestion, client has to give their approval. Okay, any questions so far, guys? Okay, so then comes what is the major type of teams that are involved in service based organization, or what is the major type of work that you do. So here we saw like you are responsible for building the product and for customizing the product. Okay, what is it that you will be doing in the service based organizations then? So since in client based sorry in service based organization, Our work is majorly driven by the client. So what happens is we meet with client a lot. Okay, so we meet with client or stakeholder a lot to give them to do two things. Okay, one, to gather requirements from them, or to give them suggestions on how they can further improve their software. So there is plenty of meeting that revolves around, plenty of meeting, you can call it work related. Okay, and through that work we are trying to, through the work that we are trying to do with the stakeholder, we are trying to build rapport as well. Okay, so in service based organization, you see, we don't have a software as such, we don't have a product as such that we are trying to sell to people. Our product, our revenue in service based organization is coming from the client or the stakeholder. So naturally, how do you improve your revenue? How do you improve your business? If you keep your client happy, okay, they will keep on giving more work to you. That's how service based organization try to do. They try to keep the client happy. They try to they try to do whatever client says, so that client remains happy. If they are happy, they will naturally give more work to you. Okay, even they would sometimes recommend some of their peers, or you can use your network or connection with the client to ask for references. Okay, suppose through this class we suppose Suprita, Piyush and I, we have a very good connection. Okay, I run organization A, Suprita is part of organization B, Piyush is part of organization C. Okay, suppose I get some IT work done from a company. Now they can come to me and tell that if any of my friends or colleagues would also like some IT work, then they can refer to us. Meanwhile, I was talking to Suprita, and Suprita said that she's not happy with the IT company that is currently doing their work. So they are looking for new contracts. So I can refer them the IT company that is handling my contract. Okay, so that is why there is a lot of emphasis or focus on building rapport. Okay, so as a business analyst, we are also involved in that. Okay, though we are not involved at a senior management level where we are trying to influence someone to give more work to us, but through that rapport we are trying to ensure that customer remains satisfied, customer remains happy. Because if they are happy, if they feel their work is getting done, we will eventually get more work. Okay, as a business analyst, I don't have to take my stakeholder or client on lunch, dinner, parties, outings, or whatever social gathering that is done. Okay, let my senior management take care of that aspect. Okay, as a business analyst, I will not focus on lunches, dinners. I will focus on what type of work is needed by my stakeholder, how efficiently can we deliver the work. I will ensure that my stakeholder gets updated at regular intervals, so that they feel that they are part of this entire development process. They don't feel left out. By doing all this, I am trying to build a good rapport with my stakeholder, so that they don't have any complaints. They remain happy, they remain satisfied, they don't have any complaints with the team they are working with. And if they remain happy, satisfied, chances are they will pass on the same feedback to their senior management also, that we are happy with so and so IT company and their work. Okay, if the management of the client receives positive feedback about the IT company, then naturally they will continue their association as well. Okay, so that is why in service based organizations there is lot of emphasis on keeping the client happy. Okay, in ensuring that you keep your client happy. So in coming days, we will look at the history of business analyst, how this role of business analyst came into picture. There, there we will get into this one aspect again. Okay, this particular thing, building rapport, how this is crucial. Okay, because eventually you want to ensure that all these positive feedbacks lead to lead to one thing: one, maintaining the client; second, getting more work from the client. For service based organizations, their entire revenue depend on client. Suppose if the client is not happy and they want to leave the IT organization, then what happens? It's a loss of revenue for IT companies. So naturally, they want to retain these clients so that they can work with them for as long as possible, so that they continue to make money through them. Okay. Now, some of the examples of these IT based, service based companies are your Accenture, organizations like TCS, Infosys, because they don't have a particular software as such, they don't have a particular product as such, but they try to identify clients. Okay, so tomorrow, uh, sorry, not tomorrow, on Monday class, we will get into that aspect or service based organizations, on how they are trying to identify client. Okay, so we are not going to get into exact details, but what is it that is done before a work comes to us. Okay, so that way we are clear with respect to business analyst, what exactly is done. So organizations, sorry, coming back over here, organizations like Accenture, TCS, Infosys, Cognizant. Okay, so these are some of the big IT giants that are into the service based organization, majorly service based organization. So I will not say they are 100% service based organization, but let's say the majority of their revenue comes through the services that they give to the client or the stakeholder, and then some of the revenue also comes from trying to build a software or a product that they can market or sell to multiple clients or to the multiple stakeholders, let's say. Any questions so far, guys? Okay, I'll take the silence as no questions. So why this discussion over here for product based and service based organization? That is just to get you guys started. Okay, about the different job opportunities that we have, about the different companies, that different type of organizations we have, and how do they differ basically from each other. Okay, so now whenever a client has any type of requirement, let's say I have a business idea, I want to build an e-commerce application, then what options do I have? I can look for organizations that can build the software for me. So when I'm looking for organizations, remember, I'm not just looking for service based organization. Maybe there is a product based organization that has already created a software, e-commerce application. Okay, and I can simply reach out to that product based organization and talk to them that what is your product, how useful is your product, what would be the charges, or what would be the licensing cost to use your product. Okay, so as a stakeholder or as a client, okay, for me it is majorly about saving money. But while saving money, I don't want to compromise on quality. So as a client, I try to do a mix. I should be able to save money. If I can get a better quality product at a cheaper price, then why not? Okay, that's what we also try to do when we go out in the market to buy certain things. Let's say when we go out in the market to buy clothes, we try to find a balance that if we can get a better quality product at a cheaper price, then why not? So that's why we do some research. We go from one shop to another shop to another shop just to evaluate or identify if we can find a better quality product at a cheaper price. Similarly, for client also, for whatever their requirement is, if there is already a product available meeting their requirement, then they go to product based organization that have created that software, and then they try to understand what the software is, how it can be used, whether it meets all their requirements or not. And suppose if the product meets all their requirements, then what would be the licensing cost? Now sometimes what could also happen is the client may feel that licensing cost is very high, very expensive. So even though a product is already available in market, they can try to find a service based organization which can build the software for them at a cheaper rate. Okay. So, or at the same time, suppose the client looks for the software and there is no product available. There is no such product available in the market. So no product based company has built that software so far. So in that case, what happens? They directly go to service based organizations only. Okay, so that's why we studied about these two organizations, because they both can get work from the same client. Okay, now client can also think that for my requirement a product is available, even though it is expensive or cheap, I will not go for a service based organization because I will have to wait for them to create a software for me. So rather than waiting, I will simply go to product based organization. Even though I have to pay some extra money, I will pay, but I will get immediate access to the software and I can start using it immediately. Okay, so that solely depends on the client's requirement, what client wants. At the end of the day, they have to pay the money. Okay, so because they are paying the money, so they have to decide whether they want to go with the existing already available software in the market. Okay, or whether they want to tie up with a service based organization, create a new software. And there could be multiple reasons for it. Okay, like I said, existing product is expensive, that's why they are going with service based organization. Or maybe there is no product at all, that is why they are going with service based organization. Maybe a client can spend lot of money. For them it doesn't matter whether the product is expensive or cheap. If it is available in the market, I will use it. Okay, so that is completely driven by the clients on what they want. So any questions? Okay, if no questions, we'll connect on Monday, guys. And on Monday, what we will do is we will first start with pre-project activities. That is, before we as business analysts get into the picture, what are some of the steps that are carried out by sales and marketing team to get the project to us, because some of the people, what I have realized or seen is, they are confused. They think that as a business analyst, we need to get the work. Okay, so in tomorrow's class we will try to go through what steps are done before a business analyst gets into picture. So sorry, not tomorrow, Monday's class, we will look at pre-project activities that are done before a business analyst starts gathering requirements, so that there is more clarification, and then we will start looking at history of business analyst, how this role of BA was created. Okay, and in that, one of the key feature for the creation of role for BA was to be able to build rapport with the client. Okay, so those would be the next two classes: pre-project activities and history of BA role. And then we will slowly get into what type of activities that a business analyst does. Okay, any final questions before we end the call for today?
So Rahul, Piyush here.
Yeah,
Uh,
Piyush.
for example, Infosys is having a product called Finacle, and
Mm-hmm.
it has sold the product to ICICI Bank, which is a client. So
Mm-hmm.
here Infosys will be the product-based company, right?
Yes.
And
Yes.
client will be ICICI Bank. And
Yes.
suppose a few organizations like IBM, they are supporting ICICI Bank. So IBM will be the service-based company, or here
Yes.
the ICICI Bank will be the service-based organization.
No, ICICI is the client. So you can use a
Client.
simple rule like whoever is paying the money.
Okay.
So
And so
ICICI
as
is
per
paying
the
money.
bank's requirement, they will customize the product.
Exactly, exactly. So ICICI will tell IBM, I have this product, make some modifications, customizations, and I for every customization, let's say I pay you some amount. I pay you $10,000. So
Okay.
because ICICI is paying, they are the client. Because IBM is working as per ICICI's requirement and getting money from ICICI, so they are service based organization. They are not trying to build a software that they can sell to everyone. Finacle is owned by Infosys, so only Infosys can make modifications, changes in Finacle. IBM can only support it.
Okay. Okay. Got it. Thanks.
Any other question, guys? Okay, so if no questions, we'll meet on Monday. Monday we will discuss about pre-project activities, and then on Tuesday we will discuss about history of BA. And then we'll get started with SDLC and some of those processes on how BA gets into or gets their work done. Thank you guys for your time. See you on Monday.